Hi there, I'm going to my review for Incredibles 2. So Incredibles 2 is the new film by Pixar Studios, who have been consistently the best animated studio in America for a couple of decades now. They've made some genuine masterpieces over the years. And Incredibles 2 is a sequel to The Incredibles, which is one of their very best films. It's a film which is one of their most interesting works. It's a nice skewing of superheroes and the nuclear family, and it was written and directed by Brad Bird, who is also responsible for other animated masterpieces like Ratatouille and The Iron Giant. So Incredibles 2 picks up the story pretty much instantly after The Incredibles. Despite it being 14 years since the last film, the sequel just instantly picks up from the very second that the first film ends. So it's a very just straight to the story, no kind of long waiting. It's the plot kicks off instantly. And Incredibles 2 is interesting. It's a film which I think is heavily flawed, but at the same time it's very enjoyable. It's a film which I had an absolute blast watching, and I think everyone who kind of watches it will probably get fun out of it. There's a lot of nice humour here and there. Now that the baby character Jack has superpowers, there's a whole lot of like essentially silent comedy really with Jack and his physical manifestations of his powers and all that sort of stuff, and that sort of stuff works really well. In fact, the film as a whole is funny and entertaining throughout the entire thing, and despite the fact that it's quite lengthy for an animated film, Incredibles 2 passes by very easily. It's a film which is a lot of fun, and I think just whatever flaws I could subsequently sort of say about it, it's a film which is just genuinely enjoyable, and for that alone it succeeds massively, and it definitely works as it wants to succeed. However, there is flaws, and the biggest flaw here really is the storytelling, which is across the board pretty average. In a film which gets a lot right, there's a lot of mediocrity within it. The story here just doesn't really strike me as such an insightful takedown of superhero or superhero fandom or anything like the first one. It just strikes me here as a generic plot to kind of move the story forward and to kind of just do stuff. The first Incredibles film had a very character-driven plot which came naturally from its characters, but here, with the plot really focused on Elastigirl, I don't really see how Elastigirl really drives the plot. It's very much a separate thing here. It feels like very forced, and I think across the board here the characters get very mixed arcs. In the first Incredibles, each character was an archetype and their character went through an arc. In this film only some of them do, so I think Mr. Incredible has an arc that kind of fits in with him naturally. I think Violet probably is the best sort of subplot in the film. Dash is just not really in it at all really, and Elastigirl kind of just gets a story which she's forced into, as opposed to something which I think naturally works from the characters and themes of the work. So Incredibles 2 certainly has flaws here and there. I think the storytelling is mediocre. I'm not a fan of the visuals. It certainly has a style to it, but I think it's just generic CG animation. It's not particularly any more amazing than other similar films of recent years. It's also surprisingly complex film in parts, with there being quite a few subplots and little things to keep up with. It's a film which is a bit more intricate than the first film, and I think that kind of doesn't really help, because I think given that ultimately the story is no more deeper or more powerful than the first film, the fact that it's less simple just kind of makes it seem like there's more plot points to try and hide the fact that it doesn't really hit home as much. It's not quite as emotional a journey, it's not quite a journey which quite matters as much, it's not something which I think really is a nice deconstruction of what it is trying to be. I think it's just a bit of an overcompensated plot that really doesn't make any sense when you think about it. It also has a very heavy reliance on action scenes, and there's quite a lot of those which are just whatever, they're fine, but in no way are they particularly impressive or imaginative. They just kind of function as they are. The plot also relies a lot on hypnosis. I think it's quite disturbing for a children's film actually, but that's just me, I guess. There really isn't much more for me to say about Incredibles 2. It's a film which I think is a breeze to watch. I think it's fun, and I think it's easy viewing, and I think if you just like the characters you will get something out of it, because the jokes land, the whole thing is amusing, the comedy is nice and broad, it's something that I think will please a lot of children. It's not a film which I was impressed by. I didn't think it matched the first one in any way. I don't think it's among Pixar's strongest films. I think it's pretty average for them, but I can't really deny that Incredibles 2 overall, because it is so fun to watch, because it works in the moments where it isn't trying, because it basically succeeds on what it's trying to do, which is to entertain. Incredibles 2 definitely is a good film, but I don't think it's much more than that, and I don't think it really hits home on the level that the stronger Pixar films really do. I will say this though, the short that plays before Incredibles 2, Bow, is fantastic. Bow really is a moving tribute. It reminded me of a lot of the opening montage of Up, and I think that's Pixar's best ever seen, and I think Bow is one of their best shorts. It's really fantastic and actually better than Incredibles 2 even. So that's what I think of Incredibles 2. Have you seen Incredibles 2? I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have. Please leave me a comment. If you want to watch more of my reviews and subscribe, if you want to read more of my reviews and follow me on Letterboxd or Twitter, links in the description. Thank you for watching, and The Incredibles 2, it's a good film.